Good afternoon, folks. This is Deb, and this is a call to action. So I'm asking you to please share this video everywhere you can and to please participate in what I'm going to ask you to do, okay? Now, our founding fathers kind of looked further down the road when they wrote the Constitution, and they allowed for Article 5, which effectively would allow the people to amend the Constitution to better serve an evolving society. Unlike the current Republican Party, who wants to send us all the way back to 1786, the forefathers, although not perfect, envisioned something very different from this country. They did not expect us to stand stagnant, okay? But I have to say that I wish this is something that we had been doing all along, but we're doing it now. We're pushing this now because we understand the danger that Donald Trump presents to the United States and to our democracy. So here's the deal. We want Joe Biden to instruct a National Archivist to publish the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution before he leaves office. Now, let me give you a little history. It's been floating around since 1923. And in order for this to become part of the Constitution right now, it has to have 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate to ratify it. So, in fact, the Equal Rights Amendment passed in 1972, okay? And when Congress approved it in 1972, it set an arbitrary 7-year deadline for the states to ratify it, all right? So the important thing to know here is that Article 5, which is in the Constitution, which was set by the forefathers, has no such time provision whatsoever, okay? There is no time limitation for this. And most importantly, in 2020, the year that Joe Biden won the election, Virginia became the 38th state to ratify the ERA. Now, adding some confusion and some complication here, 5 states, and I will name them, Idaho, Kentucky, Nebraska, Tennessee, and South Dakota, supposedly withdrew their prior ratifications. However, it's important to note that in other instances where states have rescinded a ratification, it was not allowed, okay? There is no protocol or constitutional basis for rescinding a ratification once it is in place. And this is where Kirsten Gillibrand comes in. Her argument is that the 7-year ratification deadline is unconstitutional because that provision is not made in the Constitution itself. It was an arbitrary time limit set by Congress in 1972. Okay? And states cannot rescind ratifications once provided. Now, we all understand, and so does Senator Gillibrand, that Biden doing this will certainly set off a firestorm, okay? The Republicans will argue that it has passed the deadline and the ERA is dead. But guess what? As I have said, that 7-year deadline was arbitrarily set by a Congress which is no longer in power. And it was not set in Article 5 of the Constitution, which allows for amendments. So, in everybody's mind that's a logical thinker, that 7-year arbitrary limit is unconstitutional, okay? This would not only piss off the Republican Party, but surely this would wind up in the hands of the SCOTUS, okay? And we know this. But that doesn't mean we don't go forward with this, because what that would force is a very public battle between the Republicans and the people to crush women's rights. And that will not play well in the public arena. So I am asking everyone to do this right now. You need to contact the White House. They have an email, they have a telephone, so that people can call. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can leave a message. you want Joe Biden to instruct the National Archivist to publish the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And you tell him, because women are in danger in America and we need protection, and for all intents and purposes, the Equal Rights Amendment has been ratified and is ready to go. We need to do this, folks. I mean, there is absolutely no downside for Joe Biden to do this. There is nothing that's going to happen to him or his legacy by pushing this issue. And this is something that will benefit women. I mean, we are 53% of the population. We need to start acting like 53% of the population. Okay? You know, the reason Republicans essentially oppose the Equal Rights Amendment is because it strengthens the right to reproductive independence. That's what they don't want. But that's what we really need protection for in this country. We have had women bleeding out and dying, getting sick in parking lots, waiting to get abortions when their pregnancies were no longer viable. This cannot stand. This can only get worse over the next 4 years. So I'm asking everybody here in the sound of my voice to please pass this video along and to start making phone calls. And while you're at it, contact your legislators, your senators, your congresspeople, and let them know you have let the White House know that you want this to happen. It's time for the people's voices to be heard. You know, democracy isn't, a spectator sport. And it's not just on the politicians to advocate on our behalf. It's up to us to advocate for ourselves. And this is where we start, right here. So please, folks, let's see if we can do this. And let's not wait another week, all right? We are 35 days away now from one of the most frightening administrations in American history, and we need to pull out all the stops to fight as much as we can. This is one way we can do it. Call Joe Biden, call the White House, email the White House, tell them you want the ERA published as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution for all the reasons I've given you. And then call your senators and congressmen and tell them the same thing. That's all I've got for today. That should be enough. So let's get this thing going. I will talk to you all later.